it's so interesting that we see black women, you know, traveling all the time, but fellas aren't really getting on this plane as jet setters. I'm gonna start right with you, Dallas, and then go over to you, Kenny. What is it like, and why is it important to travel, man?
I mean, coming from Georgia for one, coming from Atlanta, right? We wouldn't go nowhere. Right? We were stubborn. Like we ain't leaving Atlanta. It was hard to get us out anywhere. So I really didn't even get out of here until I was like 28 to start going to like London and then to France and start seeing architecture and then Spain and seeing stuff. And once you get out of here and once you see how different it is, you know, it changes your life. It's a perception that you couldn't have from being here. Like anytime you think you have a perception, and I know some of my boys like that work here and that's in the, you know, in the club industry and other stuff, and they go to LA, they go to New York, they go to Miami. Like, man, have you been to Paris yet? Have you been to Ibiza? Have you been to like Mykonos, anywhere like that? And they're like, nah, man. And you're like, well, you don't really know what you're seeing or missing in this environment or in a club environment until you will see all this stuff and experience the different cultures. So like, it's definitely gonna be a culture shock. And it's more I can tell you about how many places I haven't been and I have. You know what I'm saying?
Word. Kenny, get in there.
Yeah, no, I think, man, traveling defines you, man. You know, I think you grow up in a certain place, you become accustomed to the things, you know, you see growing up, and then you go across the world and you see somebody like you from another space, but has a whole nother music palette, has a whole nother fashion offering. And I think for me, that's what opened me up. I mean, I had a sense of style already, but seeing people around the world do their thing, man, it was just amazing. Like, I don't know Spanish anything. Actually, hearing you speak Spanish at the beginning of this joint, I'm like, I'm not even Panamanian. But I literally love Spanish food more than I love American food. I love Spanish music as much as I love R&B. So, and I don't know, and I don't even know what they're saying, but I could sing a whole Mark Anthony song. So I love all the details I pick up in my travel.
Hold on, let me jump in there on you, because think about this. For me, I didn't even realize that I was Hispanic first and that my parents were immigrants until I got to school and the homies started making fun of me. Like, hey man, why your mama talk like that, man? She's some type of African booty scratcher or something. What's going on? I'm just like, yo, whoa. You know, the west side of Chicago, man, you know, bro, it's lethal. So I remember going home to my mom being like, Mom, could you say 3? And she was like, tree, baby. I was like, no, Mom, say 3. She was like, tree, Marcos. 1, 2, 3. What? Like, I'm just like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Ivan, let me jump over to you real quick, because you over in the Caribbean. Why is it important for us to make our way to the Caribbean, St. Kitts, Anguilla, Jamaica? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, geographically, the Caribbean is so close to America. You know, it's a short flight from Miami. Most islands is anywhere from 2 hours to about 4.5 hours. And we've got all the services down here. A lot of people see the Caribbean as this third world territory, and it's just simply not. You know, some countries in the Caribbean has got their issues, like obviously like Haiti and stuff like that. But a lot of the islands, like right now I'm chilling in Anguilla, and Anguilla is really, as I mentioned earlier, Anguilla is really the Gulf Coast of the world, you know, and so is St. Kitts, you know, the world's top 1%ers, they're all here, you know, and the services are here, the financial services are here, you know, the high-speed internet is here, etc. The beaches is just beautiful. The lifestyle is simplistic, you know, on an average. You have people hitting that 100-year mark, you know, on a very regular basis because of the foods they eat, because of the less stress, because of the sun, because of the ocean.
They live longer in the Caribbean. That's
also it's because of that salt water. See, salt water has healing properties that you just can't buy at the medicine store. I promise you that.
It's not the Epsom salt that we put in the tub, is what you're saying.
That's exactly.
Listen, man. Anytime you've got a sinus infection, just do one somersault in the ocean and it's gone.
Wow. That's straight rejuvenation. It's crazy because look, when you look at the hashtags on Instagram, there are over 300,000 mentions of hashtag Black Girls Travel and only about 88,000 mentions of hashtag Black Men Travel. But there are a couple platforms that do a really good job of highlighting the fact that Black men do in fact travel. Black and Abroad and Soul Society, Soul Society 101 do a wonderful job of showing us the many opportunities that await us beyond the border. Kev, I'm coming.
Let me tell you something, man. If you never went to Rio, right? I've been to Brazil about 4 or 5 times, and I swear to God, you fall in love every 5 minutes with the most beautiful person you ever seen in your life, and it's just unrealistic. It gets to the point where it's just like dark skin, light blue eyes, like things that you just haven't seen before. So you're like, how is this happening? And how is this like? And you start to eat the food. And Quincy Jones always told me, he said, whenever you go into a place, learn 20 words, go straight to the middle of the heart of the culture, go downtown, learn 20 words, so you know what he's talking about, and eat the food. You know what I'm saying? That's why you can get to the culture of the people, between the food, the music, and learn 20 words you say. So like, anytime you go in, any place you go, I try to get to them 20 words, but if not, now everybody speaks some kind of American. And when you show up in America, from America, and you show up in them places like that, you already like, they already own you. You know what I'm saying? You already, and you would think that, you showing up like that, you're like, I'm an oddball, but now you're the one that like, oh my, they never get to see you. You only see that on TV, you're the furthest thing from it. And there's so many beautiful things in just looking at Carnival. If you've ever been to a Carnival in Rio, if you've never been to Carnival in any of these countries, and see how much work they put into to doing that with the costumes and everything else. It's like you have another appreciation for people when you travel.
Sure.
Yeah. I want you to inspire the fellas right now, because you heard about the hashtags, man. 300,000. The ladies, they doing their girl show. They got movies about that. Why, as fellas, are we not coming together? And I can hear my brother's voice in my head like, hey, man, come on this trip, dog. Come on this trip. And he's not, having that urgency, man. Talk to me, Kev.
I think, to be honest with you, where we come from, we're so close-minded to what we see. We see the Miamis, we see the Atlantas, we see the LAs, we see the New York, and we less see of traveling to Africa, or traveling to London, or traveling to Europe, or even Rio and Brazil. And it's so important for us to actually get up and travel, because traveling like just leaves you speechless. It's like that journey that leaves you speechless, and it actually turns you into a storyteller. So I think for me personally, it's very important for us to travel, because it just opens your mindset to a whole different perspective of life. And it helps you with, moving forward in life. It helps you learn new things that, for me, I travel to Africa at least 3 times a year. I mean, that's my favorite place to go. But, I just love the culture. I love the food. I just love everything about traveling. I think it's definitely important for everybody to go out there and just go, just take that chance of that leap of faith. You know what I mean? It's just, sometimes it's hard for people to see, go to Miami, go to New York. And sometimes it's hard for people to just take that plane ticket outside of the US, and a lot of people nowadays like don't even have their passports, so I just think, it's a step-by-step process. You know what I mean? In order, it's a problem. In order to fix this, we have to talk about the solutions. And solutions, number one, is get a passport. You know what I mean? That's solution one. Get a passport first, and then talk about where can we go with this passport.
Yeah, you know what, too, Kosine? I don't think it's that black men don't travel. I don't think we post as much as women post.
They don't travel as much on KB. Like they're traveling like on the average, like me and you travel, KB. That's a different story, because we got started in it early. But before that, you weren't traveling like that either. You know what I'm saying? We were like between DC and Atlanta and trying to get to New York and LA was our missions for the longest, just being there. And then once you do get exposed, you're there. But still on the average.
On the average, I'm just saying it's not like black men don't travel. I think like even like me, like I have a group I travel with because we're all married. So at the end of the day, it's just certain things I wouldn't post that I would post if I was single. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I just think that black men do travel, but to Dallas's point, he's right. You get to a certain place in your life and travel becomes a part of the quest.
Yeah.
You're trying to earn, get your stripes. You're kind of like going where you think you should be. But he's absolutely right, though.
One of the first things I did, right, Kenny, I was sitting, you know how close me and Lenny Gravis are, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting with him one time down in Miami, and we're talking. He goes, yeah, just like Hotel Coste in Paris, it looks like that. And I'm like, like, you never been there? I'm like, nah. He said, just like this over here in Saint-Tropez, it's like that, it's kind of like that restaurant. Nigga, you ain't been there? Nah. He's like, you sitting here with these dreadlocks and looking like and writing songs like you the most universal nigga and you ain't went nowhere. I'm like, tell you the truth, I ain't really left the country except for London a long time ago. He's like, nigga, you gotta get the fuck out of here. I took a backpack, right? I got my man Jovar. I said, yo, okay, so let's go. We're gonna take a backpack and go. First stop is London, because if you get to London, you can go everywhere else on the train, right? It's easy. Like, you see all these college kids, and a lot of times, especially white college kids, they traveling. They get their backpack and their friend, and they don't win on these things. How are they doing that? They rich. It ain't even that expensive to do it like that.
Right.
But once I got to London, I was like, okay, wow, okay, cool. We stayed there a couple of days, jumped on the train. Paris is only an hour away. Hour 30 minutes away. You're like, damn, you get there, it's a whole other world. Then you go back, Ibiza, Spain, all this and that. By the time I did that trip with a backpack, my mind was so fucking blown, I didn't know what to do with myself. You know,
biggest takeaway of that trip. So if you got to say, all right, cool. You know, I mean, it could be 1 to 3, but just biggest takeaway when you think about that trip, when you say your mind was blown, is what?
The women.
Well,
at that age, the women.
Yeah.
Flavors.
It was overwhelming because at first I hated France because I'm like, that's the most beautiful woman with the worst fucking attitude, because people in Paris didn't like you if you can speak shit right, but it was beautiful. But the thing I took away the most is that we don't see old architecture in the United States. All right. Our old architecture goes we got some Southern architecture, but we don't see things that was built back in centuries.
1,000 years ago.
Yeah. So when you're seeing these things, your mind starts to be like, how the hell did they do that? Our buildings are new, so you get it. You know, glass, here's some this, here's some that. But when you see these buildings in Spain, and you see these buildings even in London, or don't get to Paris, you know, or Greece, you start seeing these buildings and stuff that's been there. Like, you start to see real history. And our history started at a certain point. So I feel like if you don't go there, you ain't seeing the real origin of like the power. Like, London feels like, damn, this shit, it just feels grand. Right. It's English, so everybody who don't know that, they speak English. So you got to worry about the lost in translation. They got people from, if you've never been anywhere, I would say go to London first.
Yeah, I'm thinking about in London, just even looking at security, just pacing, you know what I'm saying, in front of the joint, in front of the house, the steps, the walk, how they hand each other the guns all day. They not really swatting no flies. The distance.
They rich.
You know, Coach.
Get in there, Ivan.
Yeah, Coach, for me, you know, travel, there's two things that made me into the man I am today. And that's just, one, my parents and my culture and my background. And the second one is travel, because I have traveled, like, I'm a million miler on Air Canada. And I have traveled to every continent and pretty much every country in the world. So no matter where I go in the world, like hanging here in Anguilla, and there's a lot of, you know, successful business people that come down here. I can have a conversation with just about anybody about any country in the world firsthand. And you could name landmarks and know what they're talking about and stuff like that. So for Black men, whether they travel or not, you know, they should, you know, because the reality of it is that opening your mind, travel is the ultimate education, where you could have an educated conversation with anyone of any race, of any culture, of any age, and be really articulate about what you're speaking about.
Yesterday
so
you said
the ultimate education.
when you called it the golf course of the world. You know what I'm saying? Correct. That really spoke to me, just thinking about how, you know, we all know the power of networking and, you know, meeting that somebody, but you say the top 1% of the world, man, that's powerful right there. Look, we got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we are talking Africa, the motherland. We'll be right back with Kingz. We'll be right back.